not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Alma Angeles and you're watching ASEAN in Focus. We're coming to you live from Manila and Thailand. Hello, Esther.
Hi, Alma, and to all our viewers. I'm Esther Odanga from EBC Thailand Bureau, bringing you the news in the dynamic ASEAN region.
On today's headlines. Philippine boxing legend and Senator Manny Pacquiao, who announced his retirement in September after a glittering decades-long career, admitted he misses boxing but said he's done with the sport and will not return to fight even if he loses in the 2022 presidential elections.
The Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, on Tuesday warned the public against unauthorized websites and social media pages that are posting false information related to the Philippine Identification System, or PhilSys project.
President Duterte expressed hope that the next elected chief executive will also improve his hometown's Davao International Airport.
And Royal Dutch Shell PLC plans to build biofuels plant in Singapore to help the company meet its target of halving emissions by 2030.
First in our news, the Chinese envoy to Manila has vowed a probe into the alleged act of intimidation by a Chinese Coast Guard ship against Philippine vessels that conducted the resupply mission to troops stationed at the BRP Sierra Madre at the Ayungin Shoal. That according to the Department of Defense Secretary Dolphin Lorenzana Tuesday night. Now, Lorenzana's remarks came after reports said the Chinese Coast Guard deployed personnel on board a rubber boat who took pictures and videos of Manila's resupply mission earlier on Tuesday. That he, meaning Chinese Ambassador Wang Shilian, did not know about it and that he would make an inquiry, he said in a message when asked about Wang's response when told that the Philippines considers such actions as a form of intimidation and harassment. Lorenzana earlier said Wang assured him that the resupply efforts would not be impeded. Asked if the incident warrants a diplomatic protest, he said it's not necessary at the moment. Lorenzana earlier said the two resupply boats have safely arrived at the BRP Sierra Madre at the Ayungin Shoal at about 11 a.m. local time on Tuesday. The two resupply boats left Oyster Bay on Monday after repairs on one of the boats were completed. The Western Command earlier reported that 3 Chinese Coast Guard vessels blocked and water cannoned 2 Philippine supply boats, or bangkas, on November 16. No one was hurt, but the Philippine vessels, which were identified as the Onaiza May 1 and Onaiza May 3, had to abort their mission after one of them had its outrigger damaged by the water cannon. The Philippine military carried out its resupply mission for its troops aboard the partly sunken BRP Sierra Madre on Tuesday, exactly a week after the 2 Chinese Coast Guard vessels attacked with water cannons the 2 civilian boats bringing the supplies to the soldiers, which aborted the mission. According to a Business Mirror report, the delivery of supplies apparently went along with the deployment of troops on scheduled rotation aboard the Sierra Madre, which is being used as an outpost by the military in securing the Ayungin Shoal. The 2 civilian resupply boats manned by the Philippine Navy arrived at the Sierra Madre in the Ayungin Shoal at 11 a.m. Tuesday local time without any untoward incident, according to Defense Secretary Dolphin Lorenzana, hours after the 2 boats reached the Sierra Madre. He further said that they are presently unloading personnel and cargo. The resupply mission was undertaken after Lorenzana told on Sunday that he had ordered the Armed Forces Western Command to carry out the aborted activity, wherein China's ambassador in Manila has also assured that Beijing will not interfere in the resupply. Still, China didn't allow the delivery of supplies and personnel to go smoothly, as a Chinese Coast Guard vessel was in the area that sent a rubber boat manned by 3 men who drew close to Sierra Madre. Meanwhile, the Philippine Coast Guard has replenished fishing gears and basic supplies in Pagasa Island over the weekend. PCG spokesman Commodore Armando Balillo said BRP Capones of the PCG Task Force Pagsasanay turned over the items to the municipality of Kalayaan Island Group in support of the thrust of the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources to support the operations of local fishermen, especially those in remote territories such as the KIG or KIG. It also ferried provisions for the PCG and Philippine National Police stations in the area. While underway to Pagasa Island from Puerto Princesa, Palawan, BRP Capones or Capones, Officer Captain Glenn Daraug has monitored a Chinese Coast Guard vessel approximately 1 to 2 nautical miles away from their vessel. No radio challenge, though, was made by the Chinese ship, while the Coast Guard ship continued its course towards its destination.
Philippine boxing legend Manny Pacquiao, who announced his retirement in September after a glittering decades-long career, admitted he misses boxing but said he's done with the sport and will not return to fight, even if he loses in 2022 presidential elections. Let's take a look.
My plan to run is, I'm thinking about backing out like that of my plan. This is for the Filipino people. What I'm doing now is for the benefits and for a true change, real change. I never, in my dreams that I wanted to be president, but it just seeing the desperation of our people made me realize everything that I need to, because nobody will fight for them. Sincerely, wholeheartedly, and that's Manny Pacquiao. Continue the drug war in the right way. We can push the drug war without with the due process. I mean, there's a law. You have to respect the due process. Give them chance to defend themselves and to prove that they're innocent. I miss boxing, but I don't think boxing is still like me. Well, I'm already 40, turning 43 years old, so it's enough for me. I mean, I'm done. hanging my gloves is the hardest part of my life.
Fans in the nation see the former boxer as a living proof that success is possible for anyone who works hard, no matter their origins. Pacquiao has served as a celebrity endorser for products ranging from appliances to pizza and cars, hosted TV shows, and even founded his own cryptocurrency, the PAC token. If his presidential bid fails, he plans to add farmer to his CV, growing fruit on a 20-hectare or 50-acre property in the southern province of Sarangani.
The son and namesake of the Philippines' former president, Ferdinand Marcos, said he took a cocaine test after President Duterte accused an unnamed presidential candidate of using the illegal drug. Marcos Jr., or Bongbong Marcos, who is among the frontrunners seeking to succeed Duterte in 2022, said in a statement he was tested Monday and had submitted the results to 3 police agencies. He also told the local broadcaster that he had tested negative. Quote, "I really don't feel that I am the one being alluded to," according to Bongbong Jr., popularly known, or Marcos Jr., popularly known as Bongbong. In spite of that, he said, "I believe it is my inherent duty as an aspiring public official to assure my fellow Filipinos that I'm against illegal drugs, and this is why I took a cocaine test yesterday, unquote. President Duterte hasn't identified the candidate he claims uses cocaine. A leaked survey conducted in October by respected rolling outfit social weather stations reportedly showed Bongbong Marcos as the top preference for president with 47% of voter support. He was followed by incumbent Vice President and leading opposition candidate Leni Robredo with 18%, celebrity Mayor Francisco Dumagoso 13%, retired boxing champion and Senator Manny Pacquiao was fourth with 9%, followed by Senator Panfilo Lacson with 5%.
Meanwhile, National Privacy Commissioner or NPC Raymond Liboro on Tuesday warned the public against responding to text messages that offer jobs or rewards that are too good to be true, noting that such scams are becoming more widespread. In Laging Handa briefing, Liboro said the sender of such messages must be immediately blocked, noting that interacting with them, especially giving out sensitive information such as identity and bank details, can result in more serious harm. Let's listen in.
Itong sabi mo nga, marami natatanggap ngayon itong mga text messages na kunwari ay nagbibigay ng trabaho o oportunidad para magtrabaho. Mayroong mga lalaking sweldong nilalagay kaysa ikaw daw ay i-employ ng mga kilalang mga online shopping, no? Like Lazada, Shopee, mga ganon. Gusto ko lang sabihin, scam po ito. Huwag niyo pong tangkilikin yan. I-block nyo po yan at i-remove nyo kung ibasura nyo po yung mga text na yan dahil kayo po ay lalansiin lamang nito. Na-monitor po namin sa aming pong pagtingin at investigasyon ay kayo po ay lalansiin lamang nito upang magbigay ng inyong personal details at ang dagdag na peligro ho nila, pinakamalaking peligro nito, Yusek Rocky, no, ay nanakawan ka ng pera in real time, no? Dahil meron ho silang modus, no, na kung saan, no, paniniwalain ka na magbibigyan ka ng trabaho para mag-promote, no, ng mga produkto online pero kailangan mo magbayad, no, ng panimula at saka ka makakakuha ng komisyon. Hindi mo na namamalayan, marami ka nang dinideposito sa kanila at suddenly bigla na lamang sila mawawala. So napakalaking scam po ito. Ito po ay sa pag-aming pagmamonitor, hindi lamang nangyayari sa Pilipinas, maging sa ibang bansa. At ito po ay, again, no, ay ginagawa po ng isang organized syndicate, kaya mag-iingat po tayong lahat. Huwag na ho tayong mag-entertain, no, ng mga tanong o kung po mga iniyayahan kayo sa kung ano po mga patimpalak. At ito po mga ganito na nag-o-offer ng mga trabaho, mga too good to be true, no, ng mga offer. Huwag nyo na ho yan tatangkilikin. Huwag ho kayo magbibigay ng personal information po ninyo, lalong-lalo na mga bank details po ninyo sa mga nagte-text sa inyo na hindi nyo naman po kilala. At kung kayo po, again, no, ay mabibiktima po nito, maaari nyo po i-report yan doon ho sa inyo mga telco, sa National Telecommunications Commission po, meron din na reporting po dyan, at maging ho sa National Privacy Commission, no, maaari nyo rin pong i-report po yan.
Now, while such scams are becoming more popular during the COVID-19 pandemic, National Privacy Commissioner Raymond Liboro also said that there is no evidence that mobile numbers and other personal information being used by such scammers come from contact tracing forms. Now, to avoid becoming the target of such scams, he warned against giving out personal information to untrusted entities and to carefully read the terms or conditions of companies that are asking for such data. Take a look.
Pinag-uusapan natin is an organized international or global na sindikato ang gumagawa nito at gumagamit, no, ng mga numero na nakuha po nila sa marahil sa ibang paraan po. No, malalaking database po ang ginagamit nila dito. Maaaring nanggaling po yan doon sa mga dati hong na-breach o na-hack. Ginagalugan na rin natin yung dark web dito, Yusek Rocky, upang malaman kung meron nga pong nagtitrade, no, nitong mga numbers, no, ng mga Pilipino dyan at ginagamit po dito. So, although nababanggit mo nga yung contact contact tracing, lagi din natin sinasabihan yung mga nangongolekta po niya ng pangalagaan po yan. Posibilidad yan sa ibang sabi ko nga magamit po ng hindi tama, pero in this particular case nakikita po natin pagkat libo-libo kundi man daan-libong Pilipino po nakakakuha nitong mga text na ito ay napakahirap pong gawin niya kung isa-isahin niyo yung mga contact tracing forms or health declaration forms, but still gusto nating sabihin again itong mga nangangasiwa ng ating contact tracing na pangalagaan din ang mga numero niya. Pero sa meron po tayong mga data protection officers sa mga telcos at gusto ko lang sabihin, pinatawag din namin sila upang ipaliwanag nga kung paano nagagamit itong network or telco infrastructure para mapadala itong mga spam na ito. At mananagot po ang sino man, lalo na po ang mga telco, kung ang mga numero na ating pong ipinagkatiwala sa kanila ay hindi ginagamit po sa hindi otorisadong paraan. Yes, definitely. Ito pong cellphone numbers po natin ay ito po ay kinukonsidera ng personal information, personal data. At ang pagprotekta po nito ay sakop po ng Data Privacy Act. Tulad nga po, lalo-lalo na sa sitwasyon na ito na nandudulot ng hindi mabuti, na napaka-tangible, sabi nga nitong kapahamakan na maaaring gawin kapag ito nga po ay ginagamit sa mga scam. So tayo po again ay mag-iingat. Huwag ho basta-basta binibigay ang ating personal information tulad po ng mga mobile numbers natin. Huwag ho tayo basta-basta pumipirma at uma-agree at nagko-consent kapag hinihingan po tayo ng mga personal data po natin. Dahil yan po sa aming namomonitor din ay maaring sumasang-ayon kayo na gawing public itong mga impormasyon na yan po ay nai-scrape, nakakaayod ho, sabi nga, at nagagamit po sa hindi tama. Meron tayong tinatawag under the Data Privacy Act, yung authorized processing of personal data. So pagkakakulong at multa ang hinaharap nito sino man ito, kumpanya man yan, o maging individual na gumagawa nito, yan po ay pagkakakulong mula po 6 na buwan hanggang 2 taon, pero or multa po ng 500,000 hanggang 2 million pesos. At kapag mas sensitibo mga impormasyon ang nagagamit po na hindi otorisado, mas doble ho ang multa po nito. At marami na ho tayong mga kumpanya, right, na rekomenda na for prosecution dahil ho for an authorized processing of personal data.
Mr. Liboro also said that NPC would keep monitoring the situation and urge the victims to file a report, especially if they believe their personal data was hacked.
The Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, on Tuesday warned the public against unauthorized websites and social media pages that are posting false information related to the Philippine Identification System, or PhilSys project. The PSA issued an advisory disowning the portal dswd-ayuda-news.blogspot.com, which has been posting unverified information on the acquisition of Philippine Identification or PhilID card, or the national ID. Under the co-location strategy of PSA with Land Bank of the Philippines, the opening bank accounts of registrants after the completion of Step 2 biometrics process is voluntary and does not include cash assistance. The PSA urged the public to obtain information only from official website portal philsys.gov.ph or official Facebook account facebook.com/PSA PhilSys Official. It reminded the public to avoid exposing PhilSys registration details, including application reference number, transaction slip, PhilSys number, and posting photos of actual PhilID card to prevent illegal activities such as identity fraud. The Step 1 online registration can be made through register.philsys.gov.ph, while the Step 2 face or the fingerprints, iris scans, and front-facing photographs must be in registration centers. The Philippine Postal Corporation will deliver the PhilID cards. The entire application process and delivery are free of charge. Signed into law by President Rodrigo Duterte on August 2018, Republic Act 11055, or the Philippine Identification System Act, aims to establish a single national ID for all Filipinos and resident aliens.
In other news, DBSs in Singapore, DBS's digital banking services have been restored as of 2 a.m. local time Wednesday. The bank apologized once again for the inconvenience caused. Some customers who wanted to use DBS's online banking services earlier this morning found that the bank's app and website were unavailable. And as seen on DBS's Facebook page, several customers have notified the bank that their system is down. Apologizing for the inconvenience caused, the bank said it will update once services were restored. Now, in a Facebook post earlier in the day, payment services provider Nets said that the eNets debit service for DBS customers was temporarily unavailable. According to the DBS's website, a scheduled maintenance was carried out on its mobile platform early in the morning between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., during which login and access to digital services may be intermittently unavailable.
The United Nations Refugee Agency has condemned Thailand for deporting a third Cambodian refugee in 2 weeks after a former female politician was sent back to Phnom Penh jail. Tavri, who represented the now-dissolved Cambodian opposition party at district government level and was a vocal critic of Prime Minister Hun Sen's government, fled to Thailand more than 4 years ago. Thai immigration officers arrested her on Friday in an eastern border town, and she was sent to Cambodia the next day. Gillian Triggs, a senior official with the United States High Commission for Refugees, or UNHCR, said the move contravened the principle of non-refoulement, under which countries are banned from sending people back to places where their lives or freedom are in danger. Tavri Land's deportation came 10 days after 2 other Cambodian UNHCR registered refugees were sent across the border, the agency said in a statement issued on Monday. The UNHCR tried to intervene in all 3 cases, but the Thai government went ahead with the deportations. Tavri Land's husband, Radong Pin, said he had grave fears for his wife's safety and well-being. She was in custody at Prey Sar prison in Phnom Penh, awaiting trial for treason, but the court date was unknown, he said. Thailand and Cambodia made an agreement to exchange fugitives in 2018. This is in line with foreign affairs principles. Many countries are implementing
Police are set to send 3 Chinese men to the municipal court for confining 99 Thai nationals to extort money from them after the victims were cheated by an employment broker who told them that they were going to work for a Chinese online sales company in Phnom Penh's Sen Sok district. National Police spokesman Chai Kim Kon told the Post on November 21 that the 3 Chinese suspects were arrested on November 18 and were among a total of 77 Chinese nationals who had been questioned by the police. On November 18, the National Police conducted a raid on a house in Sen Sok district being rented by a group of Chinese nationals, where they discovered and liberated 99 Thai nationals who were being held prisoner and extorted. The 99 Thai victims were taken into custody by Cambodian immigration police officers for deportation to Thailand, as they were all in Cambodia illegally. The operation involved the questioning of 77 Chinese nationals, but only 3 of them were determined to be involved with the extortion scheme. A municipal court spokesman said on November 22 that no charges had been decided yet for the 3 alleged Chinese human traffickers. And the news continues here on ASEAN in Focus. We'll be back.
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba. Sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Mailalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa New Era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Welcome back. In Cambodia, Minister of National Defense Thi Ban has called on all parents who serve in the military to get their children vaccinated against COVID-19 while extending the commitment of military personnel to carry out assignments on behalf of the COVID-19 Vaccination Subcommission. As of November 21, over 14 million people aged 5 and older out of Cambodia's total population of around 16 million people have been vaccinated. At the ceremonial handover on November 17 of 2 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines from China, Prime Minister Hun Sen also reiterated his call for the general public to get their children vaccinated and to get booster shots for themselves. He said that after almost 2 years of fighting COVID-19, the government has proven that vaccinations are the key to managing the crisis, though other preventive measures remain important. Prime Minister Hun Sen made an unexpected announcement on Sunday night that all fully vaccinated international travelers, tourists, and business people could visit the whole of Cambodia freely without quarantine from Monday. Hun Sen said travelers would have to show 2 negative COVID tests, one taken no less than 72 hours before travel and one on arrival in Cambodia.
The capital city, Manila, received its order of 40,000 capsules of the coronavirus disease drug Molopirovir on Tuesday. Manila purchased Molopirovir on October for 87 pesos and 50 centavos per capsule. It has been issued a compassionate special permit by the FDA or Food and Drug Administration. Let's listen in.
Wala na pong iba. Libre po yan, katulad sa Remdesivir, Tocilizumab, at itong bagong Molnupiravir. Ayun. Yorme, hindi kami taga Maynila. Pwede ba kaming makakuha? Kung buhay ang pag-uusapan, ang Maynila po, since day 1 ng pandemya, ay pinipilit yakapin ang kahit sino. Kayo ay makipagtulungan lamang, makipagbigay alam sa aming Manila Health Department, headed by Doc Pox Pangan, at yung kanyang assistant na Dr. Ed Santos. Or, kayo po ay magpunta sa Santa Ana Hospital, headed by Direktora Grace Padilla. Apo. Libre, wala pong yadba. Walang yadba toys.
Molopirovir is the first oral antiviral agent that is going found to prevent by 50% mild and moderate cases of COVID-19 from progressing into severe illness that could lead to hospitalization and deaths. Molopirovir stops the virus that causes COVID-19 from multiplying. That is why it is best taken within the first 5 days of illness, because it is during this time that the virus actively multiplies within the human body. Molopirovir stops the virus. Molopirovir is an additional drug for treatment of COVID-19 that can be taken orally. So pwede po siya by mouth, orally, instead of an injection.
Wala na. Okay. Ako na ba? During the ceremonial turnover on Tuesday, Mayor Isko Moreno Domagoso handed over 120 bottles containing 40 capsules each to the Manila COVID-19 Field Hospital at the Quirino Grandstand. Aside from Molnupiravir, the city government previously procured Remdesivir and Tocilizumab, also said to cure COVID-19 symptoms. Molnupiravir, developed by the U.S. drug companies Merck, Sharp, and Dom and Ridgeback Biotherapeutics, is the first antiviral medication for COVID-19 that can be taken orally rather than injected or given intravenously. Patients must take the drug within 5 days of symptoms, according to experts. The Merck pill should not be used by pregnant women or women who are not using contraception and could get pregnant. Merck's pill decreases the ability of the coronavirus to multiply by increasing the number of mutations in its genetic material, or RNA.
Meanwhile, the South Korean government is augmenting its pandemic assistance to the Philippines with the upcoming donation of 539,430 doses of AstraZeneca vaccine this month. The Korean embassy in Manila said the donations are expected to arrive on November 30. In a statement, the embassy said, quote, "The donation is part of the joint efforts made by Korea and the Philippines to protect public health and support the local response to COVID-19 in the Philippines by vaccinating Filipino people." Since the outbreak of COVID-19 last year, the embassy has worked closely with partners from the Philippines, both to protect the frontliners and reduce the crisis impact on the livelihood of affected Filipino families. The upcoming donation brings $210.7 million or approximately 10.67 billion pesos, Korea's COVID-19 assistance to the Philippines. About $200 million of the amount is in the form of concessional loans to help the Philippines procure enough vaccines in 2021 and support government efforts in scaling up its COVID-19 response. Korea's grant element in its concessional loan is at least 88.4% based on the 2018 data from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development.
To Thailand now, where there were 5,857 new COVID cases and 55 more fatalities recorded during the previous 24 hours. That according to the Public Health Ministry, announcing it today, this morning. The number of new cases rose from 5,126 announced on Tuesday, when the country recorded 53 more deaths. On Tuesday, 7,318 COVID-19 patients were discharged from hospitals after recovering from the coronavirus. Since April 1, when the third wave of COVID-19 began, Thailand has treated 2,053,129 COVID patients, 1,952,445 of whom have recovered to date. Since the pandemic started early last year, there have been 2,081,992 COVID cases, with 1,979,871 complete recoveries so far. The death toll stood at 20,450 during the third wave and 20,544 since the beginning of the pandemic.
And the news continues here in ASEAN in Focus. Alma and I will be back after this short break.
Hindi naman requirement ang lumabas.
Anong tawag sa superhero na sumakay sa jeep?
Aral-aral din kayo, huwag kayong puro tanong.
Mas maganda pa kung nasa loob lang tayo.
Papa! Tama yung pagsiselfon!
Natin, magkakaroon ka pa ng chance na
Sa akin ni Mami na mag-picture.
magmuni-muni.
Sa edad kong to, siguro marami na akong naabot.
Talaga.
Pero ngayon kahit remote, tinatamad akong abot.
Ready na ba kayo sa ating Game of the Day? Lulubog ba o lulutang ang kalamansi? What is Snackable Videos?
Totoo ang kasabihang may pera sa basura, lalo na kung magagawa ang iba't ibang bagay mula sa mga recyclable material na inaakala ng iba na itatapon na. May ilang barangay sa bansa ang nagre-recycle ng basura at makikita ang iba't ibang bagay na gawa sa basura. Mga dekorasyon sa bahay, sa mga proyektong ito, nagiging malinis ang kapaligiran bukod sa mayroon pang pagkakakitaan.
Ang trabaho naman talaga ng maritime group ng PNP is to enforce the maritime laws.
Tayo lang yung stricto, pero in other parts of the country, pwede na naman ang tourism.
Definitely, we are ready to respond to a possible spike.
Sapagkat ang aming intensyon ay makatulong lang sa mga tao na wala talagang magamit na gamot.
92 voted for this resolution, which will make it stronger, calling on the Justice Department to come up with more stringent ways to be able to avert these hate crimes against Asian Americans.
Mas marami po tayong magagamit ngayon na mga tools or mga equipment.
Maraming salamat, Weng, at sa buong puwersa ng Balitalakayan sa pagkakataong ito.
Tatalakayin ang mga pangunahing balita live sa teleradyo ng Net25 at Radyo Aguila DCEC 1062. Kasama si Weng de la Fuente sa...
At itong Balitalakayan, we live in interesting times.
Welcome back. The country's overall balance of payments or BOP position posted a surplus of $1.14 billion in October 2021, lower than the $3.44 billion BOP surplus recorded in the same month last year. Last month's BOP surplus reflected inflows arising mainly from the national government's NG or net foreign currency deposits, with the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP and the BSP's income from its investment abroad. The BOP surplus in October brought the cumulative BOP for the first 10 months of the year to $476 million surplus, reversing the deficit of $665 million for the first 9 months of the year. The current year-to-date BOP level is lower than the $10.31 billion surplus recorded in the same period a year ago. Based on preliminary data, the cumulative BOP surplus was partly attributed to net inflows and personal remittances, net foreign borrowings from the NG, foreign direct investments, and trade in the services.
The government of Laos plans to spend over $100 million to promote domestic production in the country and boost exports. A loan from China's National Development Bank, or CDB, will be used to fund select enterprises amid the government's efforts to increase domestic production and exports to foreign countries, according to KPL. The governor of the Bank of Laos, Mr. Sonaksai Sitpaksai, spoke at a recent National Assembly session, saying that the Lao economy is under a lot of pressure as a result of major foreign currency appreciation, rising crude oil costs, inflation, and international interest rates, saying it will take some time to recover. The government will also receive funding from the World Bank as well as the Lao Access to Finance Fund, or LAFF, and commercial bank deposits, which are expected to increase following the launching of the Lao-China Railway project. The government has set inflation at 5 to 7% in 2022 and established a new exchange rate mechanism to avoid discrepancies in currency values between the official and unofficial exchanges rates.
President Rodrigo Roa Duterte expressed hope that the next elected chief executive will also improve his hometown's Davao International Airport. In his pre-recorded talk to the People aired Tuesday night, Duterte described Davao International Airport as not as beautiful as the most scenic airport in Bicol and not even half of the newly rehabilitated and expanded General Santos Airport. Duterte recalled his order to put Davao City last on his priority list for government infrastructure projects. The Davao International Airport has a single 3,000-meter precision runway, mainly serving passengers from the entire Davao region. It is currently serving 7 airlines and is handling around 3 to 4 million passengers annually. Duterte believes that the next administration will also make some improvements in his hometown.
Flag carrier Philippine Airlines is planning to open as early as next month direct flights between this city and Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, reviving the international status of the newly upgraded airport. Department of Transportation, or DOTR Secretary Arthur Tugade disclosed this development during the inspection by President Duterte on Monday night of the airport's new passenger terminal building and other vital facilities. Tugade said the opening of the upcoming flights will upgrade the city airport to international status after being delayed and suspended for a long time. He credited the move to the completion last September of the rehabilitation of airport's passenger terminal building and other facilities, which were part of the 959 million peso upgrade implemented under the flagship Build, Build, Build program. The other completed components are the procurement and installation of navigational aids and the construction of the new Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, or CAAP, administration building. Tugade said these improvements, which tripled the terminal building area from 4,000 to 12,000 square meters, doubled the airport's passenger capacity from 1 million to 2 million annually. He said the airport terminal features an aero bridge, and the expanded space now allows the airport to park 7 planes at one time from the previous 3 to 4.
Meanwhile, Korean Chamber of Commerce Philippines, or KCCP President Hoi Klee on Tuesday confirmed that businessmen and tourists from South Korea are expected to return to the Philippines under the new normal. But now that we have the vaccine, business will go back to normal and the economy will be recovering very soon. And it is time to prepare after the pandemic. We need to prepare. The Philippines need to prepare for the new normal economy, Lee said in a virtual investment forum. Lee said with around 88,000 work visa holders from South Korea, about 22,000 to 24,000 are left here in the Philippines since the coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19 outbreak. Many Korean businesses and tourists will be back to the Philippines again, he added. But to attract more Korean investors in the country, the KCCP executive urged the government to pass legislations that could ease restrictions on foreign ownerships. These bills include Retail Trade Liberalization Act, Foreign Investment Act, and the Public Service Act.
Meanwhile, Singapore raised its trade forecast today amid a better-than-expected performance and robust global semiconductor demand in the third quarter of this year. Higher oil prices also supported the oil trade and, in turn, total trade, Enterprise Singapore said in its review, or ESG. The Ministry of Trade and Industry today narrowed the country's GDP, or gross domestic product growth forecast, for the year to 7% from the previous 6% to 7%. Now, this is based on the performance of the Singapore economy in the first 3 quarters of the year, as well as the latest external and domestic economic developments, according to the ministry. Singapore's economy grew by 7.1% year-on-year in the third quarter of this year, beating expectations, but still lower than the 15.2% growth recorded in the previous quarter.
Royal Dutch Shell plc plans to build a biofuel plant in Singapore to help company meet its target of halving emissions by 2030. The company is planning a 550,000 ton a year plant that can make hydrogen from cooking oils and animal fats, which are then used to produce diesel for road transport, aviation fuel, or chemicals. According to the statement, the facility is subject to a final investment decision. Shell is reducing crude processing capacity at its Pulau Bukom complex, the site for the biofuels plant, as it seeks to eliminate all net emissions from its operations and the bulk greenhouse gases from the fuels it sells to customers by 2050. Singapore is also setting out a path for the city-state to become a leading regional hub for carbon trading, green finance, and other services. Ao Kapeng, chairman of Shell Companies in Singapore, told reporters during a groundbreaking ceremony for a pyrolysis oil unit at the site that there's a clear commitment away from the fossils as well as traditional fuels. According to Bloomberg's news, the biofuels plant will be one of the largest in Asia when built, said Shirley Yap, senior vice president at Shell Singapore. The oil major is seeking to produce around 2 million tons a year of sustainable aviation fuel by 2025 and process 1 million tons a year of plastic waste globally.
And that's all the time we have for you today. Thank you, Esther, for keeping me company here on ASEAN in Focus.
It's always my pleasure, Alma, and that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Esther Odanga from EBC Thailand Bureau, and we'll live in interesting times.
And we'll see you back here tomorrow, same time, same place, here on ASEAN in Focus. I'm Alma Angeles. We live in interesting times.
Napapansin ba ninyo lumiliwanag ang mundo pag magkasama?